श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादरं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। आत्मस्वरूप बंधुगण, welcome you all to this 10-day study session, and I know you have traveled long distances and arrived here, and so I hope you have settled well. Tomorrow morning I will start the meditation session at 7 o'clock, and the schedule will follow as it is given in the brochure. Upadesha Saraha by Ramana Maharshi is the topic for this study of these 10 days, and meditation also I will be doing on similar lines. About satsanga, it will be nice if you can write the questions on a piece of paper, so that you will know what you wanted to ask. Otherwise, sometimes you want to ask something and unable to frame the sentences properly in that hurry. So if you write, that will be nice. That you can still keep the right to interrupt me in between, ask anything on the spot. I am saying something, you can stop me, all that you have a right. It is an interactive session and you have that right. But still, if you write, it will be nice. Generally, meditation, you come 2 minutes early, you be in your seat by 2 minutes less than 7. And start meditating. So close the eyes and sit upright and be quiet. That is meditation already. And I will come and I will start the guided meditation. You will know it. So you hear the sound Om means the guy has come already. That is how you will know it. And when I come, you need not get up. Don't get up also, because that becomes a distraction for you and sometimes even for others. Therefore, you are seated, just remain seated and be comfortable. Don't bother about these formalities. And so that is the orientation that I have in mind. I don't find anything more than that. And so here is the brochure or handout in which the entire Upadesha Saraha 30 verses are printed, because some chanting will be there too. That's why 30 verses are printed, okay? You know that. Because Swamiji doesn't want to chant halfway, therefore the entire verses are printed. We need not have two separate sheets, one for chanting and one for Swami TV teaching. Therefore, that is how you find all the 30 verses. And it is a nice paper you can keep with you, and these verses are very meditative in nature. And you can keep this paper with you, and any time you look at a verse and meditate upon that. That is how these verses are. So now, having finished the orientation part of it, now I will take some questions. I strive to answer. Normally I will conclude by 9 o'clock, 8 to 9. Normally. Today also very similar. Maybe another 5 extra minutes I can stay if needed. Very first, today what questions will be there, that also I understand. Once the questions are finished, you can retire and take rest. You must have had a long day. So now, here is a question. Easier to disidentify with my mind than to disidentify with my body. Is it so? Interesting. Generally, I used to say, more often than not, that it is easier to disidentify with the body than with the mind. I used to say like that, but you seem to say exactly the opposite and ask me why. I will not be able to tell you why, because I was under the impression in the opposite way that it is easier to disidentify with the body. So I can only explain my stand. I cannot answer your question. By the time I answer, I explain my stand, that doesn't become answer to your question. It will be a kind of, I will be questioning your question. Interestingly, with reference to, there are two things about it. So I am not answering your question. I am explaining why your question is not in place. That is how it is coming. Okay? Are you prepared for that? So this body identification, if you pay attention to that, we live mostly beyond the threshold of body consciousness. Mostly. When you are hungry, you are not body conscious. You are hunger conscious. You are thirst conscious. When you are emotionally driven, emotions drive you. Then when you study a book which demands attention, which demands that intellection, so there you are absorbed in it, like grammar or whatever. And then if you are a sports person, while playing the sport or game, you will not be body conscious. You will be very absorbed in scoring points or scoring a goal, etc. Like this, most of the time, you live beyond the threshold of body consciousness. What people do, when body is sick, it will demand your attention. Then only you become body conscious, really speaking. But what people do in their folly, they create occasions to strengthen the body consciousness. So every time they are very particularly conscious of birth. It need not be birthday. Birthday, though, they do a bash of it and thereby increase the body consciousness. And the religious heads and gurus and acharyas are not doing any service, because they do not represent a good model before the students that you have to come out of the body consciousness. They celebrate their own birthdays in a very big way, thereby presenting a very undesirable model before people. This is how I feel. So then, so you create a context to celebrate the body in whatever way. This is how the body identity, which is not very acute, which is rather peripheral, in the sense that you live mostly beyond the threshold of body consciousness. So that being the given situation, you make effort to identify with the body, you create contexts to identify with the body, and you celebrate body identification. Look at that. This is how the body identification has become a huge problem. Otherwise, rising above body identification is relatively easy, because body is very gross and you can easily be a witness to the movement of the body. You can do walking meditation, whereby if you practice walking meditation, you will realize, you will get that insight that you are a witness to walking. Instead of I am walking, you see the body walking. That is how, that kind of an insight you get. That is a huge progress, or a very, very first step in the study of Vedanta. Idam Shariram. That is the very first step. Simply saying Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is not going to help. This is the very first step. So, students of Vedanta should perseveringly practice this disidentification with the body, and they should create a space between themselves, between myself and the body. I should have that space, that inner space. We should strive to create that inner space. It is easy. With body it is easy. When it comes to mind, it is difficult. In the sense, the difficulty in the sense, it is not as easy as with the body. That is what I mean. Because we live a life entirely dictated by the mind, because there is a total identification with the mind. There are no contexts where you are not the mind, except in sleep. When you take yourself to be the doer and perform an action, you are the mind. When you desire the result thereof, you are the mind. When you take yourself to be a person which is put in place by memory, by the known, by a set of habits and idiosyncrasies, you are the mind. Because you are not the person really speaking. You are the impersonal awareness, but you live a life, and the life of a person. Whole life you live the life of a person. That person is fictitious. It is a phantom. It is unreal. And that is created, manufactured by an ignorant mind. And whole life we live the life of this shadow person. Shadow life we lead. Therefore, disidentification with the mind requires enormous insight, not enormous effort. It is not about effort. Na karmana, it is not effort. Enormous insight you need, and a tremendous clarity of thinking you need, clarity of understanding you need to rise above the mind identification. I will address some of these issues as part of the verses. The first 3 verses will be Karma Yoga. Be prepared for Karma Yoga in the first 2, 3, 4 classes. And then we will move forward into Bhakti Yoga and then Jnana Yoga. That is the sequence, roughly. Okay. Therefore, you asked a question. I answered in a different direction. But if you found that a disidentification with the mind is easy, you are already blessed. And you don't bother about identification with the body anymore. Because what you call body is an idea in the mind, nothing more. Body is not physical. In fact, the world is also not physical. The world is ideational, not physical. There is nothing physical. What you call physical is psychological, and what you call psychological is physical. Ya eva manasaha ta eva bahyaha yaha bahyaha ta eva manasaha. Shankara in Chandogya Ashtamadhyaya. Therefore, so once you have disidentified with the mind, you are already blessed. Body identification is not an issue for you. You don't get stuck upon that. You don't get into the feeling that you don't have it. You already have it. Because the mind is the very difficult thing to overcome. So that is that answer.
Swamiji, can we have 1 or 2 examples in the waking state when we are not identified with the mind?
In sleep you are not identified with the mind?
In the waking state.
In waking state. Oh, in waking state you asked, yeah. When you laugh heartily, when somebody makes a joke, you laugh heartily. You are not identified with the mind, and you are not even a person. And when suddenly you come across a snake which you assume to be poisonous, and then or you come across a bear like in Pennsylvania, or you come across a lion, or you come across a stunningly frightening situation, like suddenly you look down a deep valley, down a precipice. In all those circumstances, there is no mind, and you are not a person. This is what, and whatever you do is called fright reaction, and that is not the person's response. It is the life which is responding to a life-threatening situation. There is no mind and there is no person. You are not person in those circumstances. Mostly you are a person otherwise. But if you understand that the person is a myth, person is a fiction or a phantom, and then you cultivate, that comes from, not from, we don't call it effort. You have to cultivate it, you have to grow into it. You need a lot of patience, and patience doesn't mean time, patience doesn't mean effort. Patience means earnestness. In that sense, I am using the word patience. So you need a lot of patience to grow into impersonal consciousness. You are conscious of everything, but not from the standpoint of a person. Like somebody says something against you, and you come to know of it. Somebody tells, oh, he is saying like this about you. You come to know of it. Immediately you will feel hurt. You will feel unhappy because you are a person. Suppose you grow into a consciousness in which the person is not there. This is a big topic. And I discussed one full class about it in one of these days. Maybe I will do a similar thing if it comes my way. Therefore, you grow into that impersonal consciousness or awareness, then you become aware that somebody has said such and such a thing about you. You become aware of that. You become aware that what he said is not correct also. And you don't get hurt. You even smile. You can smile. You don't feel hurt. Because what is it that gets hurt? What is it that gets hurt? If you pay attention, it is always the phantom called person that gets hurt. Another name for that person is ego. And that egoic entity which you call a person, and you live the life of that person, that gets hurt. And if that becomes weak, the hurt will not be there, almost not there. And if it is not there, then there will be no hurt. You will be amused. Suppose somebody tells me that I am a thief, I will be amused because I don't steal. I don't steal. I take if it is given to me, or I ask and take. I don't steal. And somebody calls me that I have stolen, I'll be amused. I don't feel hurt. And then I means not I, not this Swami. I and you, that is the style of speaking. And when that person who said such silly things comes across you, you do not feel that enmity. You do not respond from memory. You respond in the present moment. In the present moment, if the person says hello to you, you greet him with love and with goodwill. You do not get the entire memory and react as a person, so you don't do that. Therefore, this is all in the waking state. Yeah.
Swami, would reflex action be part of that?
Reflect action is, there is no person there. If I understand what you mean by reflect action.
Reflex.
Reflect action, there will be no person. It is almost spontaneous. Any response or action which is spontaneous is impersonal. That is the beauty of spontaneity, in which there will be no persons. It is not a person's reaction. All reactions are coming from a person. So like that.
I don't know if reflex action is cerebral or not, because spine is involved there, right? Reflex action comes from the spine as opposed to...
all action comes from the body mind, Therefore involves the spine, the cerebral and all that. Atma has nothing to do with action. Absolutely no connection with action. Action is all Prakriti and none in Purusha. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah.
How to deal with physical pain?
Physical pain. You see, it's a very interesting question coming from a very young man. This question, why do you worry? We old people have to think about it. But still, let us answer the question. When there is some pain, what is your response to the pain? You look at the pain as undesirable. It is a xeno, means it is a foreign thing and alien thing and unnatural thing. It should not be there, and it is the enemy, and I should drive it away. Just I have explained in a lengthy way, but this is the normal response. It's not a good response. It creates a conflict right away in the mind, in addition to the pain, and it makes you anxious, because now you are dealing with an enemy which you have to drive away as quickly as possible. and therefore you go into a mode of anxiety, which doesn't serve any purpose. By becoming anxious, pain won't go away. Therefore, the wise thing to do would be welcome the thing. After all, it is the body, not you. That body disidentification must be there. On one side you celebrate the body identification. On the other side you talk these things. It doesn't work. That kind of contradiction should not be there. You must have put body disidentification in place already. Then what I am saying will be very helpful to you. So you don't look at the pain as an enemy. You look at it as a guest. It's okay. Let it be there for a while and see what happens. In quite a few cases, maybe not many cases, but quite a few cases, the pain will disappear. It will not bother you anymore. Like headache, it will go away. You don't need a medication and all that. But it persists, suppose. Then even then you don't look at it as an enemy, but now you try to respond to it. And respond scientifically, rationally. Go to a physician. Don't become ideologue about it. Don't bring ideologies into it. Medicine is medicine. There is nothing like ancient medicine, modern medicine, English medicine, Sanskrit medicine. These are all our imagination. Therefore, medicine is medicine. Okay? Therefore, medicine, evidence-based medicine, evidence. So, suppose you take a pill of Triphala, it does a load of good to your tummy, and that is the evidence. It is there. You take it and you can experience it immediately. And like that, you take some muesli or that fiber, the effect is there to experience. So the medicine should be evidence-based. It should not be based on some verbiage or some verbology. No, I don't know. Some verbiage means all words, words and words and words. Hopefully the person who is speaking those words may be knowing, hopefully he knows. We don't know anything of that. So it should not be like that. It should be very rational, scientific, and that kind of a medicine. And just because you don't call it Western medicine or English medicine, because knowledge is neither Western nor English. There are no boundaries for knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge. And a knowledge which was great 100 years back may be useless now. You see, a person complained, what happened to New York? I wanted a diode for my radio, it is not available. So it should not be like that. So in Manhattan, I have a radio set and I wanted a diode for it. It is not available, whole Manhattan I have set. So that kind of an approach has no value, okay? Therefore, be rational, be pragmatic, go to a good physician, don't go to a surgeon. He will try to find out which organ he has to cut open. Don't go to a surgeon. You should go to a surgeon even to consult only as a referral case. The physician should refer you to the surgeon. Then only you should go to the surgeon. Directly you should not talk with the surgeon even if he happens to be your maternal or paternal uncle. You should not talk with the surgeon because they are highly conditioned. It could be highly conditioned. Could be. Therefore, take some medicine. Sometimes you need not even go to a surgeon. You can know yourself. Take the medicine one way or the other and let the pain be resolved.
For example, post-surgical pains, are they due to the thought that pain is an enemy, or they are just like...
No, post-surgical pain also, don't make any pain enemy. But post-surgical pain is very painful. Therefore, you have to seek help. They will tell. You should tell that I am getting a lot of pain. Once I told the physician, I am getting a lot of pain. Once the anesthesia wears out, the pain is very difficult. I am unable to bear it. Then he asked, are you comfortable with ibuprofen or diclofenac sodium? I said, I prefer diclofenac. He gave me, and the pain has subsided. And he told me, you take it daily, twice you take. Need not restrict once. So I used to take twice. And within 2-3 days the problem is resolved. Like that. The one who remembers Ishvara at the time of leaving body will get liberated. Yeah. Please tell me how to ensure that happens at the time of death. That verse you must all be knowing. Yam yam bhavam smaran yati smaran tyajatyante kalevaram tantame vaisha kaunte, something like that is there. Yeah. Sada tada tadbhava bhavitaha. So, you see, that verse has a lot of significance. If you ask the neurologists, they believe that consciousness is the product of matter. The brain cells, the grey matter, they fire and they have circuits among themselves, and therefore there is they come together and fire information among themselves, and that is how consciousness is created. So the consciousness becomes epiphenomenon of the brain cells. That is how they say. Whereas Sri Krishna maintains it is the matter which takes birth from consciousness, not consciousness from matter. Tad bhava bhavitaha. Bhavitaha means utpaditaha. It is created from bhava, from consciousness. Therefore, at the time of death, if you are conscious of Ishvara, you will be liberated. That is the idea. Suppose you are not conscious of Ishvara at the time of death, you will be conscious of the worldly things. And therefore, whatever you are conscious of, the worldly thing at the time of death, your next birth will be determined by that thing. It is like, even Ramana Maharshi gave an example. A Mahatma, a yogi, went into Samadhi, but before going into Samadhi, he asked his student for a cup of coffee. Ramana Maharshi gave the example of coffee only. And after half an hour, he came out of the Samadhi and he asked, hey, where is the coffee? So, the last thought before going into Samadhi was coffee. And when you come out of Samadhi, the first thought is coffee. So it happens like that. The same principle you apply in the context of death also. If the last thought at the time of death is chicken biryani, the person is likely to take birth as a vulture. So like that. Therefore, it is better not to have worldly thoughts at the time of death. If you don't have worldly thoughts, whatever thought you have is Ishvara, because the mind has only two flows, either world or Ishvara. And therefore, stop the worldly thought, and the mind gets rooted on Ishvara automatically, and that will liberate you. So how to accomplish that at the time of death? That is the question. You have to have it all of your life. Then only at the time of death it happens without fail, naturally, and you will be liberated. Therefore, you be conscious of God at all times during the life. When you are hale and healthy, be conscious of God. That is not even difficult, because whatever moves without or within, whatever moves, big or small, significant or insignificant, whatever moves, like without, the river flows, the wind blows, the rain, the clouds, rain, whatever is earth going the sun, round the sun, like that, whatever moves without, and whatever moves within, like blood circulates, heart beats, breathing takes place, Even at this level of the cell, proteins are synthesized. Old cells are dying, new cells are created. All that happens, within as well as without, is happening because of one prime mover. That is the meaning of Ishvara. You be conscious of that prime mover, always. So, don't curse the clouds and don't curse the rain. It is the prime mover. Okay? Don't curse the river in spate. It is the prime mover. Don't curse anything within the body also. It is the prime mover. Be grateful to that prime mover. Find a way of recollecting or dwelling upon that prime mover called Ishvara as much as you can. Okay? Suppose the young man, the son or daughter failed the exam, that is the prime mover. Passed the exam, that is the prime mover. Somebody became sick, that is the prime mover. He became healthy, prime mover. Somebody is no more, the prime mover. A child is born, the prime mover. Don't get sentimental about it. Be conscious of that prime mover. That is bhakti. And you cultivate that. Carefully, deliberately, cultivate that bhakti. And be conscious of Ishvara at all times. See God in all. And then you need not make any particular effort to recollect God at the time of death. Eventually, you are not going to die. It is the body that will die. Let the body die. It was born and therefore it will die. What is your problem? So be like that about it. You be connected to Ishvara and that will take care of everything. If it is a fact, I have no death or birth, then all this world is a dream. Problem is how to wake up from dream. That is not a problem at all. You examine your experience of waking from the dream. When do you wake up from the dream? When you see the dream as dream, that is when you wake up from the dream. Same thing applies to this world also. This world is a passing show. And you see, you are watching a movie and you are absorbed in it. You are absorbed to such an extent that you have forgotten the reality of yourself and the surroundings in which you are living. Suddenly, you are very excited and unbearable excitement because of the absorption in the movie. Then suddenly you feel the touch of the chair. That's it. Now the movie is movie. It is not real anymore. Therefore, to see the unreal as unreal, you should have that insight, that clarity, that understanding, and that inner space you should have with reference to samsara. If you are you live a life of total identification, you will not be able to see the unreal as unreal. More than all these things, you need courage. Dhiraha. Dhira is very important. The word dhira, I am giving the meaning courage. You can always give a different meaning. Because in Sanskrit, dhatunam anekarthatvam vartate. So a different meaning, I am aware of that. But dhira is courage. Kaschid dhiraha is a courageous guy. What is the courage there? You have to fight an enemy or what? In a way you have to fight an enemy. But more than that, to see the false as false needs a tremendous courage. That is our problem. We don't have the courage to see the false as false. So the day you are willing to see the false as false, the false is no more. There is truth. Truth is when you see the false as false. You come to the truth not in a positive way. You come to the truth in a negative way. When you see the false as the false, there is truth already. You need not invite the truth. Truth is already in place. And that is the only way to arrive at the truth, by seeing the false as false. Okay? So, this is how you wake up from the dream of samsara. You have to wake up. You see, you wake up from sleep. Do you wake up or somebody wakes you up? It looks as if somebody wakes you up. It is a way of thinking, not very correct. Somebody doesn't wake you up, you wake up. No, alarm time is still you wake up. No, my wife woke me up. No. Still, she did her job, but still you wake up. It is always you who wakes up. And so you have to wake up. That is your job. Naham karta. Okay. This I am able to see as a fact by surrender to Ishvara. Good. I am happy to hear that. Naham karta, I am not the doer. It's not that you are pretending that you are not the doer. Sometimes people do that. Suppose some student or some young man has done some service to me, and then out of love I say, dear young man, you have done a great service to me. Then he says, no, Swami, I have not done anything. That is a kind of politeness or humbleness. Nahankarta doesn't come into that category. Okay? And also, you pretend as if so Nahankarta, you are not the doer. That is what Gita says. Therefore, I look at myself, I know that I have done everything, but I have to pretend that I have not done anything. That is not Nahankarta. Nahankarta is an insight. You know within, deep within, you know that you do not do anything. So, how to arrive at that insight? It is an insight, antardrishti, that is what I call. So, how do you arrive at that kind of an insight? That is jnana, antardrishti, that insight, that I am not the doer, is called jnana. Yah pashyati sapashyati. So, yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. So that is the insight. Pashyati means insight. Okay. So you arrive at it. So that is called jnana. Now, before you have that jnanam, you have to take Ishvara as an anchor, and you visualize Ishvara as the doer. It is a nice way of doing it. You can do that. The prime mover, that is what I have said. So that is called bhakti. Therefore, you arrive at that insight either through bhakti or through jnana. Bhakti means you take Ishvara as the prop and arrive at that insight, or you take tremendous viveka, idam shariram, viveka, kshetra, I am the kshetrajna. And all action, all movement is in kshetra, none in kshetrajna. That is the viveka. And that viveka is so intense in you, you realize that you are not the doer. The end result is the same. So you want to use Ishvara method for that, you are welcome. Naham bhokta, how to see this as true? You see, again, one more time I am finding a reverse situation. Body identification, mind identification, there you said body identification is difficult, mind identification is easy. I said the opposite. Here also I am inclined to say the opposite. You say Nahankarta is easy, Naham Bhokta is difficult. That is what you say. But what we say is Naham Bhokta is easy. That is the first step, not the second step. Nahankarta is the final step. First step is Naham Bhokta. So karmanyevadhikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana. So karma is karta, karma of karta, phala is of bhokta. So you do a karma only because you are interested in the phala. That is how people function. Okay? For a change, you do the karma by giving up the result thereof. Don't get connected. Adhikaraha sambandhaha. Adhikara phala sambandhaha. That is the adhikara. So mimamsa. So what you call adhikara is phala sambandhaha. You cannot get adhikara vidhi means where phala is mentioned. That is called adhikara vidhi. Therefore, you don't get connected with phala. That is what people do. They first determine the phala, assess the phala, and so they are now attached to the phala. They want the phala. That is how they get attached to the phala, through a desire for the phala. Having first got attached to the phala, then work out the action that you have to perform, and then perform it. Whether it is worldly action or a worship, etc. That is how people function. Therefore, Sri Krishna's advice is, you cut off that bhoktrutvam, that connection with phala, you cut it off. You devote yourself entirely to the karma. Karmanyeva adhikaraste, get connected to the karma, not to the phala, result thereof. Which means, you are giving up the bhoktrutvam, you deliberately negate the bhoktrutvam. The kartrutvam, you begin with kartrutva, bhoktrutva, both are ignorance, but you begin with both and deliberately neutralize or negate the bhoktrutvam. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Then you are left with kartrutvam. You know what will happen? As you do actions, the righteous action, without seeking the result thereof, the kartrutvam will drop off. You need not make any effort to get rid of it. It will drop off. And you remain akartru, abhoktru, atmaswarupaha. The samsara has come to an end to you. Because samsara is defined as kartrutva, bhoktrutva, lakshanaha, samsaraha, Shankara. So you are free from samsara, the bondage of samsara now. This is the sequence. But you seem to put it the other way. You are putting the cart before the horse. Something like that you are doing. You please think about it. How to see this as true? If you say I am not the body because I see this body which is only logically true, I actually feel I am the body. How to see that feeling as false is very, very difficult. Yeah, earlier that gentleman said, so you came back to the same point that disidentification with the body is difficult. That is what you are saying. The karta, bhokta, karma, that is over now. This is another question. Disidentification with the body is difficult. That is the question. It is the opposite of a earlier question, where disidentification with the body is, that is disidentification with the mind is easy, that is what he said. Here nothing is said about mind. Am I confusing you? No, it's okay. So the disidentification with the body is difficult. That is the question. Yeah, it is difficult. Because people converted the body into a shrine, and worshipping of the body or catering to the comforts of the body is the religion. Therefore, naturally, desired to see the body as non-self. In fact, body is not even a thing. Body is a wave. Buddha, Bhagavan Buddha. Body is a wave. And body is an idea in the mind. Because only when the mind thinks of the body, there is body. When you think of the body, there is body. You think or mind thinks, what is one and the same. When you think of the body, there is body. When you don't think of the body, body doesn't exist. In Vedanta, we do not exist a thing independent of its knowledge. Therefore, there is no body until and unless you are conscious of the body. In that sense, it is only an idea. So you take a non-thing, a phantom, a shadow, or an idea, or a wave, and take it as yourself and celebrate it. So people have so much attachment to Namarupa, they take so many photographs of the body, daily a dozen photographs of the body they take and decorate them. Decorate the body, decorate the photographs, this is the only thing they are doing. The religious heads are no exception, unfortunately. Therefore, when you celebrate the body so much, when you look at the body as a sacrosanct, as so much as a shrine, you decorate it, you feed it, you cater to its comforts all the time, as if it's a shrine. Then naturally disidentification with the body is a tall, is a very tough task it becomes. So I have already said it, you begin by dismantling this structure of celebrating the body. Namarupa. Namarupa are unreal. They are a shadow, there is no truth in them. And the truth is beyond the names and forms. The truth is essentially nameless and formless. And whatever has name and form is time-bound and it is unreal. So be very clear about it. And stop celebrating the body. Stop glorifying the body. Leave it in its place. And only three things you have to do with body. Keep it clean, clothe it, feed it. Four things. Treat it when it is sick. Other than these four, you should not do a fifth thing. If you reach that kind of a indifference, it is a generous indifference, because you are cleaning it, clothing it, feeding it and treating it, and then leaving it alone. That kind of generous indifference, not callous indifference. Body becomes sick. If body becomes sick, you cannot rise above body identification. It will hold you back. Therefore, this kind of a generous indifference towards the body is what you need urgently to get out of body identification. So please think about all this, which is easy, which is difficult. I gave my perspective. You may seem to have, some of you may have an opposite perspective, but both you have to do. You have to disidentify with body and mind. Which is easy, which is difficult, I leave it to your discretion. You have to get rid of kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Which is first, which is second. I sincerely believe bhoktrutva you have to get rid of first, and then kartrutva will go away. If you have a different opinion about it, go ahead, get rid of both. Ultimately you have to get rid of. You cannot get rid of kartrutva and keep bhoktrutva. That is not possible. You become like a Sankhya who was ridiculed by Shankara. You say you are not a karta, and now you say you are a bhokta. What kind of a logic you are talking about like that? So don't go into that kind of a mode. You get rid of both. That is better. So that concludes the session. Have a great day.